Hi, this is Jerry. I've got a question for you. Have you ever noticed that two people can make the very same mistake, yet one grows from it while the other one repeats it over and over again? Welcome to Proverbs 13:18. The difference is often found in one simple word: teachable. Now, no one enjoys being corrected. Our natural reaction is often to defend ourselves or to explain away our mistakes. But here, King Solomon is teaching us that correction is not our enemy. It is one of God's greatest tools for shaping our character. The person who welcomes wise instructions is preparing for success, while the person who rejects it is setting himself up for failure. Now, King Solomon begins with a warning. He says, "Poverty and shame will come to him who disdains correction." Now, to disdain correction means to reject it, to resent it, to refuse it, to refuse to learn from it. This isn't merely talking about financial poverty. It includes poverty of character, damaged relationships, lost opportunities, and the embarrassment that often follows stubborn pride. When a person refuses to listen to godly advice, they often repeat the same mistakes until the consequences become painful. And King Solomon gives us the encouragement contrast to it. He who regards a rebuke will be honored. The word regards means to accept, to value, carefully to consider it. Consider the correction that's coming your way. It doesn't mean that every criticism is right, but a wise person is humble enough to ask, is there something here that God wants me to learn? Those who accept correction become wiser, stronger, and more respected because they continue to grow. Humility seems to open the door to wisdom, while pride has a way of locking it shut. Even King David demonstrated this spirit when the prophet Nathan confronted him. Rather than rejecting God's rebuke, David humbled himself. He confessed his sin, and he found forgiveness and restoration. Matthew Henry, commentary, wrote that those who reject instructions often bring misery upon themselves, while those who receive correction gain wisdom, respect, and lasting honor. Charles Bridges observed that rebuke is one of God's greatest acts of love because it rescues us from a destructive path of our own pride. What this means for us today: we live in a culture where many people dislike being told they're wrong. Yet every successful athlete has a coach. Every skilled musician has a teacher. Every growing Christian needs spiritual correction. God may speak through His Word. If you read His Word, you might receive it from a pastor or a Bible teacher, a Christian friend, a spouse or a family member, even the consequences of our own choices. The question is not whether correction will come. The question is whether we will receive it with humility. A teachable heart keeps growing throughout life. Now, there was a man who said, I told my wife I never make mistakes, and she corrected me immediately. Sometimes the first lesson in wisdom is simply learning to smile and to listen. Now let me leave you with this final thought. Proverbs 13:18 teaches us that correction is not meant to crush us. It's meant to improve us. Pride rejects instruction and leads to shame. Humility accepts correction and grows into honor. God does not rebuke his children because he's given up on them. He corrects them because he loves them and wants them to become more like Christ. So let me leave you with this challenge. The next time somebody offers you constructive correction, resist the urge to defend yourself. Instead, pray. Ask these words, Lord, if there is truth to these words, help me learn from them. You see, a humble heart is always a heart that God can continue to shape. I really like how Solomon has arranged these verses. We already covered Proverbs 13:15, where it talks about wisdom gains favor. Proverbs 13:16, wisdom acts thoughtfully. Proverbs 13:17 is wisdom is faithful in responsibility. And here in 13:18, wisdom remains teachable and welcomes correction. Each verse adds another characteristic of a wise person. This Proverbs 13 gives us a beautiful portrait of what godly wisdom looks like in everyday life. Now, this verse will be on the screen. Read it out loud if you can. Have a great day.